The final type of writing that we're going to talk about is observational comedy. I saved this for the last spot because it's probably the most common and the easiest one that people will pursue. Seinfeld's known for being the guy when it comes to observational comedy, so you can certainly watch any episode of Seinfeld or look at some of his old material, and you'll see it like his signature line is, "What is it about whatever? What is it about dryers? What is it about socks getting lost in dryers?" That's one of his classic bits. One thing to pay attention to before we get into observational comedy, because it is important to know how to do it, is that if you look at current Seinfeld material today, the stuff that he's touring the country with, and he is the second highest paid comedian. He was the first highest paid until just recently, but he's the second highest paid comedian because he's adapted his comedy writing to fit what audiences are craving today, which is real, honest, emotional storytelling types of pieces. So he's moved completely away from observational comedy, which in a lot of times can be disconnected from emotion, but it's important to know how to do it so you can start to see how the world operates at a different level. One really, really good argument for trying to stay away from observational comedy as your main source of writing is that a really good observational comedy joke can be stolen and told by anybody. If you're going to tell a story about, say, the first time you asked somebody to prom, you understand all the details and all the emotions that are involved with it, and it's very difficult for somebody else to adopt that story and tell it the same way that you do to get the same kind of laughs that you would. If you have a great observational comedy joke about a pizza joint and how they throw pizza and the cheese that they use and the name of the pizzeria and where it's located and how it's ironic, anybody can steal that joke. And if you don't have a following on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram and somebody that does steals that joke, the next time you do that on stage, there's a good chance somebody will think that the joke you wrote was a joke you stole from somebody else because they saw it first somewhere else. So keep that in mind. So here's some steps for writing an observational joke. Step 1, find something odd or interesting about anything. Absolutely anything. The more mundane, the better. So in this example, we'll use signatures, like signing a check or a contract. Signatures. Step 2, begin to write about that thing ad nauseum. Again, don't try to be funny. Just write about what it is, what it does, what it looks like, what it makes you feel, if anything. So example, signatures are used to sign documents that are legally binding for laws, contracts, and agreements. They use pens and usually only are allowed for black and blue ink, blah, 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 blah. Nothing funny in there, right? So you just continue to write that. Step 3, gather all of the ideas of what you just wrote and make some observations. Example, how is a signature a valid way to prove that you're committing to something? And why is it a signature? It seems so dated. Why are we not doing some sort of video confirmation with fingerprinting? There has to be an app that replaces signatures, right? So again, there's no funny that's involved in there. I'm just asking questions. I'm making some observations and I'm asking some questions. This is a really important point for you to make sure that you do not visit the internet when you start to ask these questions. It's completely okay to sound stupid and uneducated as you write your jokes. In fact, the audience loves a stupid comedian that knows that they're stupid. Step 4, figure out the joke. So maybe the setup here might be, are we past ink signatures to commit to things? I think Facebook Messenger or a retweet is far more committed than writing your name on a piece of paper, right? Great. So there it is. I'd put that together. I'd put it up on stage. Might fail, might not. I've never tried that joke before, but I figured for our example, I'd just show you what that process looks like. Here's some traps that you can fall into. And it's okay if you're falling into these traps as you're writing, but it's really important to understand that you're falling into this trap. Analogies. Try your best to stay away from analogies in observational humor. X objects are just like Y objects. Try to stay away from these. It's really lazy writing. As human beings, we have a really cool gift of being able to justify why anything is like anything. In fact, I challenge you right now to look at two random objects that are in front of you and justify how the two things are similar to each other. Exactly. Try to stay away from racial, sexual, geographic stuff. I'm half blank and I'm half blank, which makes me a bad joke. It's overdone. It's another form of an analogy, and it's just disguised as a terrible joke. If you have those in your set, use them, but find a way to replace them immediately. Puns. Try not to be punny. And if you're not familiar with what a pun is, it is taking a word that has one meaning and reworking that word to mean something else. So in pun itself. So puns are not funny, so don't try to be punny, right? So that's the idea of a pun. So you're kind of using existing words to fit a different purpose. It's horrible. You can see in my face that I hate talking about it. Puns are everywhere, and even though on occasion they do seem clever, and I use them too, they will always cause groans. So a groan in the audience is really not what you're looking for. You don't want to be a cringe comedian. We've had those. They've come through. Andrew Dice Clay is a groan type of a comedian. Bob Saget was a groan type of comedian. We've moved past that, and so you're not doing anything that hasn't already been done before. They're just not worth the work. Here's the thing, though. If these jokes are inside of you, you need to get them out. You need to put them on paper or in your computer or on your iPhone, wherever you're putting your jokes. They have to come out. And they have to be written because there's other jokes that are behind there. And if you don't let them out, it'll be all that's on your mind until you get them out. And it doesn't cost any money to put them on paper. So think of it like a garden hose. On a really hot day, when you want to cool off with water from a garden hose, you have to let the water run to get all the hot water out of the hose that's been sitting in there until you can get the water that was coming from the ground back in there to get the cold water. So get the bad jokes out first so the good jokes can follow it. Okay? Your task is to write 10 observational jokes. And for the first time in the series, beyond that, you need to go to an open mic night. Before you can go to the next section, you need to go to an open mic night, you need to record it, and you need to start to get into the habit of learning something new and going to an open mic night and doing time. So prepare 3 to 5 minutes, get up on stage, prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and I wish you the very best of luck. Are you having a tough time doing some of the tasks that we've gone through so far in this series? You might need a coach. We do that, and we do it virtually. So no matter where you are, you can reach out to us, and we'd be happy to coach you no matter where you are. So you can reach out at woof@sickpuppiescomedy.com, and we'd love to help.